So let's talk about the cover design for this project. I want to show you how you can set it up and give you some understanding of what I'm looking for. The final design you're going to be creating will be a tactile typography design. This means it needs to be or showcase lettering that is created from a variety of different objects. It has to be something you can touch and feel. Now we will photograph this, but the objects that you use can be found. You certainly don't have to go out and buy things. So things you can find are leaves or sticks, things from nature. You can find things around your dorm room, or even things from the trash can be used to create the outline of your lettering. If you do want to purchase things, you can buy simple and inexpensive things, either from a thrift store or from a grocery store. The main thing is, your overall design will be photographed and it needs to fit within the given cover area. Here's the other rules that I'm looking for. I'm going to give you a set of typefaces to choose from. And if you look in your project file, for instance, I'm going to open the one for Welcome Home Magazine. I'm giving you some fonts for the cover, and you only have to pick one of these fonts. By the way, to install these fonts, if you're working on a Macintosh, simply double click on the font. So I'll open up Sketch. This should launch the font book. We'll give it a second. Then choose Install Font. This will also give you a nice preview of what it looks like. Now if there's any problems or errors with this, it will give you that indication, but these have all been tested, so they should work really well. So now I can use the Sketch font whenever I start working with this one. The other thing is, you can use the positive or negative space of the lettering. This means that whatever object you choose or create to use, you can fill in the actual letters, or you can fill in the outside of the letters and leave the lettering that you have as blank space. That's what the negative means for that. I do want it to be camera ready by the due date, and for our due date this semester it's going to be on Tuesday, April 4th. That is at the beginning of class. This way we can spend time actually photographing and working on your project. If it's not due by this date, then you're on your own to photograph and have yours ready and actually edited. I will give you a board that's 20 by 30 inches. Your design needs to fit onto this board, so nothing larger than that, though it can be smaller. You don't have to use the entire board, but it needs to fit within that board area. The layout must be done within one photograph. In other words, I don't want you to create individual letters and then photograph them and Photoshop all the letters together. Everything should be done in one photograph, one take. Finally, when we do the photograph, we're going to do it in camera raw. We're going to do some simple editing in Photoshop that will allow you to edit your photos and get the best use of those. So if you have to take this photograph on your own, make sure the camera that you're using can create a raw format. If your normal camera, especially if you're using a phone camera, can't do that, then you'll need to see me or find someone that does have a camera that can take those kind of photographs. The final thing, the titles that I want you to use will be one of these. The theme for this magazine is kind of their artsy, a little more creative, a little more bold theme and format. So all the articles that they have kind of an artistic flair to them. So the theme is creative or bold, or stepping into life, explore and create, or a free spirit life. Only choose one of these. You don't have to do all of them, just one of them for your magazine cover, and that will be what we use for creating our tactile typography. Here's how I would start this design. I'm going to choose creative and bold as the title for my magazine. I'm going to design this in Adobe Illustrator. So let's jump into Illustrator, go to File, and create a new document. Since the board I'm working on is 20 by 30, I'll set that up for my board size in here as well. So 20 inches by 30 inches tall. Say OK. Remember, we want to work within this artboard area and try not to create anything outside of it. Additionally, since this is a magazine, we want to make sure it's in portrait mode, so I wouldn't want to have this 30 inches wide and 20 inches tall. I'll choose my type tool, and remember the title I'm going to use is creative and bold. What I like to do is to type each word individually. So clicking once, we'll type the word creative. Looks like I'm going to need to zoom in too. Creative. Scale it up so we can see it. Then I'll type the word, or at least the ampersand, and finally I'll choose bold. Once I've got them all typed out, the reason I do it in separate text lines is so this allows me to move and place my text a little bit easier and a little bit freer. So let's use that sketch font that I installed. I've selected my text, go up to character, and start typing sketch. There it is. And so you can see the details of this kind of has a nice flowing, almost brush-like kind of feel. Now it's a simple matter of creating a layout that works well with my design. Since mine is going to be very vertical, and I know I've got a space at the top where for the magazine header, I want my overall layout to be very vertical as well. So let's make this much larger. Maybe make the ampersand a little bit larger too. And we'll let bold really stand out. Creative and bold. Again, scale it up. Other things that I'm thinking about are where I can place my article titles. Remember, this will be a magazine cover, so I can place article titles down below. I could place them on the side if necessary. But overall, this is a pretty good style of layout. Other things I could do, maybe I could have the ampersand on the side. So creative and bold. Personally, I don't like that ampersand. It looks too much like an 8, but that's my own opinion. So there's a layout. I can maybe do something with the ampersand in the back. Notice that I'm also not using color at this time. I'm really just focusing on the black and white style of design. If I wanted to put the ampersand in the back and make it visible, maybe I would change its color. But I would also think about how can I lay this out tactile, typographically. So I need to play around with that kind of style as well. Personally, I like the ampersand kind of in the middle, so we're going to go back to this particular style and design. Alright, the last thing you need to do, in order to print this off larger than I normally can, I need to tile my print. So once I have this done, it fits on my 20 by 30 size, I'm going to take my artboard tool, so here's the artboard tool, and scale it down so I can see till my artboard fits just inside of my text. There we go. That works out really well. Now, when I go to print, go to File and Print, and here's the magic trick to get it to tile the way I want it to do. First off, we need to set up our page size. If you're printing on 11 by 17, that's okay, or you can do it regular 8.5 by 11 size. But I'm going to set my page size, my media size to tabloid. It's almost big enough for it to fit. But I want to print it on multiple pages. So down under scaling, we're going to choose Tile Full Pages. And now you can see it automatically places them on 2 separate pages. I do want there to be some overlap so that when I paste it, it'll overlap the area and I can see what it is. So change your overlap. Usually about 1 inch is all that's necessary. When I click away, you can see now it'll overlap and it'll print a little bit on each side. Now when I go to print, this will print 2 pages that I can tape together and automatically give it the exact size that I need for creating my design. For now, I'm going to hit done just to save it. Be thinking about some of the different things you can use for your styles. Go online, look on Behance, look on other websites that do this kind of tactile typography, and come up with something creative that also fits this artistic style and theme.